This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
The Zach Rateliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic on Mall Drive in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
Todd Starnes makes serious accusations against California. He says voters can register using gym membership, insurance, or debit cards and are blocking a federal audit of its voter rolls. If true, they need to listen to Moses and select capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Lying and cheating may work for a while, but the Bible says God will honor honesty and integrity. I'm Pastor John Miller. Visit me at churchontherock.org.
Hello and welcome to the Zach Rateliff Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Dale.
All right, and this isn't the first time these three amigos have been together.
That's
No,
right.
been a while.
It's been a while. What election did we do?
Presidential election.
Presidential election.
Was it the presidential
Yeah,
election?
no,
Was.
2 years ago almost.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
Mhm.
That was a good night,
Yeah.
and we did that live on the radio.
Yeah.
Yep.
and yeah, that was
Way
fun.
back in the radio days.
Way back in the radio. So, yeah, we'll see. I've got some updates on that too. We might not share them here, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm not going back to radio. Side note, I'm pulling a larger audience now than we were on the radio.
True.
So
Yeah.
Well, since you left, I got on radio. So
yeah,
I hear what you're saying.
that's right. Yeah. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We were thinking about this. Dale, the running joke with you has always been, since you worked for NASA, like, what's really up there? And then the White House starts talking about making releases and all this, and then Hunter, you're just a lifetime friend. You're like, hey, if you ever really want to talk about some of this stuff, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. And so I was thinking about this. I'm like, there's nobody that can tell me I can. It is the Zach Rateliff Show. I can talk about whatever I want to. And so we're gonna talk about aliens. I'm gonna state my position off the front, and then we'll go from there.
All
right.
And so my belief is, with the Bible as my guide. Oh, hold on, let me just read it. That might even be better. And that way, because there's going to be somebody like, hey, it doesn't exactly say that. Well, hold on.
So you're going to like quote scripture at us and such? Which is not a bad thing.
No. It says Ephesians 6, verse 12. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in heavenly places. Well, heavenly places qualifies as outer space in my mind.
Okay.
So, if there are aliens or whatever, I will chalk that up to being the same as angels or demons, and from the spiritual realm of it. So that's kind of where I'm approaching it from.
Okay.
So I'm not saying there's not. I'm just saying, if it is, this isn't something that ends my faith view and my faith principle, because the Bible said, well, it's from wicked things from heavenly places. So it's not saying there's not.
You're picking a safe position.
I'm picking a real safe position.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I have a different position.
But if there is, the Bible says it certainly gives more credence to the fact that there may be.
Yeah.
Than it doesn't explicitly say that there's not. So, Hunter, I'll let you jump this thing off, man. Let's get into this.
Okay. I guess my position is that I guess from an equation standpoint,
Yeah.
The Milky Way has approximately 100 billion to 600 billion suns, and a large portion of those have planets orbiting around them. So you're looking at trillions of planets. I guess the likelihood that we're it
Right.
makes me skeptical.
What is it? What's the one they called Alpha Centauri or whatever?
Yeah, that's close to us. Yeah,
That's our other Earth, right?
yeah. That's what they say. That's science fiction, though.
Well, but even still, even if we're going with the Bible, in the Bible it says that God will create a new heaven and a new earth. So we know there's another one either has been created or will be created.
Well, and I also chalk it up to the idea that it's so massive. Like, how could you possibly know for sure?
Oh, you can't.
One way or the other. So it's kind of a paradox there.
Yeah.
It's so massive. How could you ever possibly have definitive proof if it's beyond your scope of observability? But two, it's so massive that how could it not be out there?
Well, your first assumption
Move
is.
that a little bit towards you.
I'm sorry.
You don't have one of the good ones, so you got to be a little more direct with
That's
it.
okay. Your first assumption is anything not on Earth is heaven. And
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I mean, there's
Yeah.
too much space. We look at too much of it right now.
Right.
With the James Webb Telescope out there, we are seeing so far into, billions of years in the past, because light travels so slow when you're looking at those kind of distances. And we're seeing.
So we're looking into the past when we're looking at
Oh,
that?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
When you look at the sun, hopefully not directly, you're
It's
looking
8
at
minutes past,
right?
8 minutes.
Mm.
So,
I've never thought about it as looking into the past. So.
Right.
oh, yeah. When you look outside galaxies, outside our Milky Way galaxy, you're looking at billions of years in the past. It's just so far out there. Now,
Well,
I look at things,
my mind just blew up.
and I'm talking, you were talking about, God's create a heaven, a place for us, and with the billions of Christians that have been saved through the faith and such, and hopefully billions more, an Earth-sized planet probably isn't going to hold them with all the promises of heaven. I look at it not so much as he's built another world out there and calling it heaven, as opposed to Earth. I look at it as heaven is in a different dimensional plane.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Bible gives us the measurement cubed of heaven.
Well-
and so, but it's not on a linear plane, right? So
Yeah.
if you could stack height, width, and depth, then they could fill up. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, my opinion is heaven is on another plane. It's a supernatural thing.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And our universe that we can see, we can observe, is all physical.
Mhm.
We know things. We look right down into the quantum realm, as opposed to the macro universal realm.
Yeah.
And there's just so much of it. And I'm of the opinion that when we start talking aliens,
Yeah.
if an alien ship was to land on Earth and a human being walked out, that's proof of God right there.
Right.
No doubt in my mind.
It's too coincidental to have the same species
Oh,
that far apart.
Yeah, you can't. It doesn't happen. If we have even a humanoid person come out, I still think that's my belief in God is confirmed again.
Oh, no matter
Yeah.
what comes out, right?
Yeah.
I still believe there's a creator.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it doesn't matter.
There has to be.
It doesn't affect.
Well,
that faith principle of mine at all.
when you look at science and you look at thermodynamics and such, it's like, order isn't a natural thing.
Right.
Entropy, one of the third laws of thermodynamics,
Uh-huh.
is order goes to disorder, goes to chaos.
Which is what looks like happening with the expansion of our universe
Yes.
as it goes, right? Because we're ever expanding. Is that the way we all understand
Yeah.
it?
Ever
Yep.
expanding, slowing down, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just the way it goes. A 747 airplane doesn't just spontaneously evolve.
Right.
It takes a creator to
Yeah.
go create these things. And that's the way I look at it. The creator created us. I mean, I look at quantum mechanics and I'm just fascinated at all the discrete bits of matter, energy, waves, particles, etc.
And just
It's massive.
a lot of it's beyond my understanding. I
But
just
you
don't
know-
have the
But you know what? If you look
knowledge.
at biology, the same way as you look at quantum mechanics, you look at a cell, there's thousands of different discrete things in a cell that make a cell. They all have a job. They all work together. It's like,
Well, that
how does that even come together?
Well, that's why that's why the theory of evolution in 1880 and the theory of evolution in 2026, we can see inside that thing. It's not just one. We understand that there's so much life happening inside that Yeah. So
Oh yeah.
but here's the one thing you said the first time I ever asked you about this on the radio, and it was before I knew you, and now I think you just say it to screw with me. But you know,
Maybe.
yeah, right. But knowing that you've worked inside mission control at NASA and all that, I said, yeah, so what's out there? And you said, yes, there's some weird stuff in space. And that's always been the answer you've given me. And it's never, sometimes you smile when you say it, sometimes you're serious when you say it, but you always tell me there's weird stuff in space. So I can take that to mean anywhere from junk satellites to things you can't explain.
Well, there's weird stuff in space,
Yeah.
but there's weird stuff on planet Earth. There's weird stuff in the oceans. You know, there's
That's
things
true too.
in our own world, our own, where we can put our arms around it and we can't explain. You know, reason UFOs are not UFOs anymore. That's a archaic term.
Yeah.
It's,
UAPs.
UAPs out
Yeah.
there now. The reason that's a big thing is because President Trump has taken an interest in this.
Well, let's define. UAP stands for,
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
and then UFO was unidentified flying
Flying.
object.
Unidentified anomalous or amorphous phenomena.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not aerial anymore.
Oh, okay.
They broadened the definition out.
So that way, if you just see, because like there are pictures now of, you know, what they're calling these
Tic Tac.
these slips, right, or these spreads where it's like, what is this? The kind of like an in between.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
there's stuff under the water that
Yeah.
they can't identify. They don't know, and it doesn't act right. You know, things in the air, things in space. You know, it's more than just aerial. So that's what they. That's
What
why
was the
they
big one
redefine it.
recently? Was the cigar, that object that was moving through space? They called
Oh,
it the
yeah, yeah.
cigar or whatever it
Right.
was. And it was showing variables and speed or whatever it was, and everybody was concerned about it. But I don't.
Yeah,
know
the
whatever.
comet. It's I guess is an asteroid or a comet.
Something like that.
And I
Yeah,
can't
they
remember
call it the
which-
cigar. Yeah,
And it was like, oh my God, it's an alien visitation.
yeah.
You
yeah.
know, and that was a big thing.
Was it you telling me that they measure how they measure asteroids?
Mm-mm.
Do you know how they measure asteroids?
How?
Like the weights and like what they'll be like, oh, that's 30,000 elephants. and like stuff like that.
Anything but the metric system.
Yeah. Standard American way. Like, oh, that's 15 giraffes. Look big.
55,000 refrigerators.
Yeah. I mean, it's always something like that. But
Did
it
Steve
just seemed like a fact that you would have told me. So.
Well, me tell you that.
No, but then I looked it up and it's, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I worked at NASA. I never heard anybody weigh anything.
Maybe it's just the AI thing that just was to get everybody.
I do have a question about if they visited. You talked about how, faith would be unwavering for y'all specifically. What if beings came here? And I'm a devout person, by the way, just to clarify.
Right.
But what if beings came here and they had no knowledge whatsoever of any concept of a single creator or the Judeo-Christian God or anything like that? Like, to them, it was completely foreign. Could they be created by an entity and have zero knowledge whatsoever that any kind of entity at all exists?
I don't think so, but that's just a faith principle of mine. I just go strictly off what I understand of the Bible is, at the beginning, a third of the angels chose to follow the great deceiver. And so they're going to do everything they can to lie, cheat, and steal to you. So if someone showed up and said, oh yeah, we're from outer space and we've never heard of that. Okay. You're a demon.
But go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I look at that and I go, okay, how could a civilization, let's say, reach the stars, be able to travel intergalactic distances
At the speed of light.
And not have a faith in anything?
Yeah.
I mean, it is mankind's natural curiosity to go figure things out, and it drives us to more exploration, to invention, to all those things. And as we observe things in our natural world, we have always sought to explain it. And usually back in the early days, it was through religion and some sort of deity whatsoever, whether it's the Greek gods or the Norse
Well,
gods.
see, that's what I was about to say. I will tell you that I think that, I mean, we're really going to go and look, I don't have the theology to back this up. I don't want to make anybody question anything, but I think that, your Greek gods and your Norse gods, I think those were demons. I think when you get to some of that they believed in, it was real and it was on Earth, and
Or it could just be not real at all.
Yeah.
or it could just be 100 made up. I think there's a happy mixture in there. But because I believe in the spiritual realm. I practice in the spiritual realm as a Christian and have seen things happen in it. So I just know that to be true. Before we continue, though, I've got your answer on this. Yes, news outlets, NASA announcements, and science communicators frequently describe small asteroids or meteoroids using animal size comparisons for relatability. Examples are headlines like asteroid the size of 64 Canadian geese or half the size of a giraffe. In 2022, Satirical Physics World article.
Satirical
I know, but it's proposing it's satirical because of the proposal was animal proportion formula, and it says real coverage often mixes animals with everyday objects, cars, buses, washing machines, hot dogs. For serious science, sizes uses meters, kilometers, or comparisons to buildings or cities. But yes, this is fun.
I've heard the car one a bunch, like
The size of a bus, a building, you know,
Well, and this one says like.
Yeah.
That's how he relates to his.
It says the size of a giraffe or a busload of geese. It's not an official scientific measurement. Asteroid size are determined via radar, infrared observations, or other precise methods. But it's popular in headlines and public communication.
Well, let me ask you this:
Yeah,
when somebody says it's the size of 64 geese, do you actually automatically figure out how big that is?
have you ever shot a goose?
Yeah, I mean, I've not
I
shot a
physically
goose.
put an actual bus full of geese.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I'm thinking,
just
you know,
a small-
you got a 3-foot wingspan.
With the wings out,
Yeah.
the wings fold.
You know, when you shoot a goose on, it's like shooting a 5-gallon bucket up in the air. By the time they cup their wings, we went on a trip a couple years ago and shot 21 of them. So if it's 64, I'm like, well,
I know you know.
I've been a third of the way there.
I know what a geese looks like,
Yeah.
and you can picture that automatically. When somebody says, "Oh, it's the size of 64 geese," you got to do like some math. in
I
your
would be
head.
more thrown off by 3.5 giraffes. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I never seen one of those.
You got to make it fit the public because
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all are aware, but A&W root beer restaurants stopped selling the 1/3 pound hamburger because most Americans thought 1/3 was a smaller burger than a 1/4 pound hamburger, and they refused to pay more for it.
Which is crazy. That's why people don't understand how to tip. 20%. I don't know what this devil language is with your percentages.
But what's interesting to me is have y'all ever heard of the Fermi paradox? Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not. I'm not going to know a lot of
Yeah,
things.
the Fermi paradox is whatever his name was, Henri Fermi. He was a physicist. Yeah. It basically said that there's two things that are possible, right? Either life is that rare, like it's that rare, like you can expect one Earth out of an apparatus the size of the Milky Way.
Right,
That's
okay.
it. Or it's not.
It's everywhere.
And it's everywhere, but no civilization has any ability whatsoever to reach the technological heights to communicate with the other. And it's
It's gotta be one of the two, right?
It doesn't exist. And if it does exist, what's the evidence? Where's it at? And that's the only explanation. And the kind of built into that concept is this idea called the Great Filter, which came along a bit later on. It basically says that all societies are exactly the same.
No matter where they are.
Right. So the reason why, and this, and of course, I could be challenged a little bit about your personal beliefs as far as the age of the Earth and things like that. But it basically says that life is possible, but it is rare. But the expanse of time that it takes for the universe to form, for the universe to exist, and everything else, it's such an expansive amount of time that civilizations don't survive long enough to communicate with others.
I'll give you that just when you're talking about age of the Earth. If you believe that the Earth the universe is billions of years old,
Yeah.
then I believe that if that's your starting point, then that has to give way to there being more life than what we know.
Well, and the filter basically says that every society evolves the same way. It grows from early organisms. It becomes, actual coherent things. It develops, basic survival tactics. It then industrializes, and then it creates the capacity to kill itself.
Right.
And then eventually the thing that it creates to kill itself does kill it, and it all happens to every civilization in roughly the same amount of time.
I mean, you can look at that even with history that we do know for just modern civilization.
Yeah, so
going back to the Romans, going back,
right. So there's two possibilities. Either we could be at the front end of the filter,
or the back,
and our impending doom is on its way, either through nuclear war, AI, whatever you want to call it, or we've actually hopscotched beyond the filter, and we actually are progressing in a manner that in
I
we
think
could
we're
get
at the
to
edge of the filter.
Well, we do put things out that travel for a long time.
Yeah.
What's our farthest satellite went out in like the 70s?
Well, Voyager is it Voyager? Is that the one that went
intergalactic? I mean, extrasolar system.
Yeah.
And that's been a while.
And it's still sending back signals.
Yeah, it is.
Have you ever seen the pale blue dot picture that Carl Sagan talks about?
Nah.
It's right before it left the Milky Way. I think it turned around and took a photo of Earth, and it's just like
we're just nothing.
Yeah, it's wild.
But the thing is, what you're talking about is just one of the things that just blows my mind in a scenario you're talking about is, what if we are the leading civilization out of all creation? And there's many out there. Mankind is the most advanced life form in the universe.
Yeah.
My God, did we mess up?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, you hear other podcasts and them talk about it all the time, but what if we are the apes? Like, oh, they're close.
Yeah.
But they're just not quite there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the other argument.
And there's been some argument that other species refuse to communicate with us because they see
what's this dolphin that captured this guy not too long ago?
They see how violent we are as a species, and there's some, these are all theories, but that they've gone beyond the point of self-destruction.
Yeah.
And they're actually, they see the benefits of actual cooperation.
Yeah.
And they look upon Earth and they say, well, I don't want to drive through that neighborhood.
we're like the south side of Chicago.
We'll leave those guys.
We'll walk in that neighborhood at night.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, even, in our ocean, which we know more about space than we do about our ocean.
Yeah.
It's a crazy story, but what was it, 6 months ago? This guy comes out of the ocean and says, hey, this dolphin captured me, had me down there working for him.
Really?
Did you not see this story? No. Yeah. So
it's probably right alongside my UFO article. So
he comes out of the ocean and like they find him and like put him in the hospital and like he's got evidence of he'd been missing for like 3 days or something. I mean, I'm butchering this all up, but according to the article, now it could be just a
mushrooms.
Yeah. You know how
could be.
Yeah. just had an ass drop
in a field in Kansas.
No ocean anywhere. But anyway, his story is that these dolphins captured him to have him help them down in their thing, and then just brought him back, and they created
to do what?
Have you seen that Simpsons episode before?
No.
There's a Simpsons episode where the dolphins actually. One of them sets a dolphin free from captivity, and it's all wonderful. And the dolphin swims out to the other dolphins out in the ocean and explains how it was held prisoner. The dolphins are actually the superior species, and they take over.
That's awesome.
You're bringing me back to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for the fish, type of thing. But look at if dolphins, let's say every one of them as intelligent as Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
They've got flippers. They're never going to do anything more than eat fish.
Those thumbs will always get you.
That's right.
Oh, it says viral hoax. Okay, this makes more sense. But still, it was out there.
I want you to think.
Yeah. No, the reality is it was entirely fictional, satirical.
Mushrooms.
Yeah. But still, that theory's out there, right? Yeah. I mean, there's crazy stuff like that that we're told all the time. So that's why we can't believe that there's not aliens, because maybe they're lying to us.
Yeah. What do y'all think about the abduction stories and that whole thing? Because that's obviously that's where the lore became real big, was people claiming they've been abducted and taken and all that stuff. In
our lifetime, I always shoot back to the Independence Day when Uncle Eddie's giving him the finger as he's driving the plane.
Well, I think back, you ever listen to Art Bell back in the old days on radio? Yeah.
Driving along the interstate at like midnight,
coast to coast AM. Yeah. Well, I still listen to old episodes of Art Bell, and if you ever listen to him, it's quite entertaining. He passed away several years ago, but
they still have coast to coast though.
Yeah, George Norrie's on there now, but Art Bell was the original guy, and you can still find him on Apple Podcasts, like old episodes and things. And he would get on there for hours and talk to people, but he always would bring up abductees and things like that, and the Travis Walton story. Remember Fire in the Sky when we were kids? That crazy movie,
Right.
But that Betty and Barney Hill, that one from
Betty
the
and Barney Hill,
50s, yeah, that was always a wild one to me because they were just random people in the 50s. You know, I know it was after Roswell, which was 47, but they had this whole elaborate story. I think some people thought that they made that up through hypnosis. Like they had hypnotists actually like put them under and all this stuff. So there might have, I know there's some question about what's real and what's not whenever it comes to that kind of thing, but they claimed to be abducted. They were an older interracial couple, a black woman and a white man, and they were abducted on the highway driving back from a wedding, or I forgot where they were coming back from, in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And they had this whole, you know, I just say a PR campaign, but they had this whole media campaign afterwards where people were interviewing them, and they had hypnosis, and they had the exact same stories under hypnosis and all this crazy stuff. I always thought that was weird because when someone says it now, it's like, well, of course you're saying that because everybody's talking about aliens. You know, Spielberg made movies, and
right.
Oh, you know,
back then there was nothing.
And back during that time with the alien abductions, you know, going big, you know, people claiming to be abducted and such. You know, you also had the cattle mutilations out there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, they got this cow and they did all this surgery on them and left them there, and they had radiation burns and such. It's like, if you're an alien, why would you even do that? You just snatch up a cow, the cow's gone.
Crop circles. Yeah.
What you're going to do?
Yeah.
When did they develop the B2?
The
or the B1 for that matter?
Oh, the B1. I mean, we're talking
70s,
late 70s. Or
So is when we kind of, but if you think about it, we didn't know anything about that stuff.
B2 was definitely a lot of explanation for UFO sightings.
Right.
There's no way it wasn't.
And so some of it that I think we see now, kind of like, what was it a couple of years ago in New York City? Remember when they had, I felt like we're on New York City.
The Connie saw.
Yeah. Where they had well, they're saying they were drones or whatever, but they couldn't really isolate them. And, you know, maybe it was China, or maybe it was an alien, or maybe it was, but it was definitely a UAP, and it was documented.
And New Jersey gets them all the time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, part of me thinks it's like, okay,
well,
our government's so far ahead of us on certain technologies that are top secret that definitely that could be part of it too.
Yeah.
Well, let me dive into the government and such on that. You know, Trump, he said, I'm going to release the alien files, basically. And
just like you did the Kennedy files, which is nothing.
Well, yeah. I mean, and
Amongst other files.
this, you know, and basically he's come out with his program's called Pursue. And it's the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters.
Okay.
And what they're releasing is not all the stuff they explain, but all the stuff they can't explain. Says, here it is. We don't know what it is. Here's the pictures. Here's the photographs. Here's the video. But the thing that's missing is concrete, credible evidence of anything. You know, we don't have the weird metal that nobody has ever built on Earth before.
Yeah.
The weird element, the body of an alien, at least that we know of. You know, it still might be down in the bottom of Area 51 or Groom Lake or someplace. But
which even that I think could be, you know, look at what the Germans did to people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, look what our own government's done to people.
Oh, that's, I mean, yeah.
So yeah, you know, that's not outside the realm. But the thing is, we don't know.
We don't know. And I'll give you that we don't know. Well, then that leads you to like, I'll take a small jump here, but I think we can get there. You know, we fish a lot at Lake Early and have a little fish camp down there. And anyway, on the Lake Early Facebook page, this guy gets on there and respected in the area, you know, and starts talking about this Bigfoot he saw down there.
Yeah.
And how it was crossing. People just start ragging him, you know, yeah, whatever, you know. And his wife gets offended, like, hey, he was shaking. This took days to get over.
Yeah.
You know? Of course, as internet trolls do, even in a small community such as Lake Erling, you know, they just named the Bigfoot Daryl. And so that, you know, so now you'll get reports of hearing old Daryl scream out in them woods. And
Daryl and his other brother Daryl.
But this guy was so affected that it changed his life that he believes that's what he saw.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I mean, we're right by Falk, Arkansas, which
Bigfoot
I mean,
Central.
which I mean, how many Discovery Discovery Channel shows have been in Falk
Right.
because of chasing Bigfoot, right? And that's
Laughed about by every local.
laughed about by every local. And
Hey,
then
but it's a business over there, all right?
yeah, then there's somebody chasing the Falk monster,
Right.
and so I think those are as real as aliens.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I don't know, right?
I guess the lack of evidence is the same.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of maybe. Of course, I've got weird theories on that
The
too.
realm of detectability is significantly smaller, though. That's the thing. Like if there is a land, it's one thing if something's water dwelling, but there's a land dwelling creature. That's where the point where I would say, how has no one found a dead one? And I know that if you're up there in the Pacific Northwest, and I know I've been into Alaska, I've been up in Washington State and Oregon, and I know it's extremely desolate up there. But if these things they have to be somewhat, if they exist, there's a substantial population of them, otherwise they still wouldn't exist.
that's right.
Right. So there has to be a lot of them.
A
And if there's a
breeding
lot
population.
of them, correct. How would nobody see them?
I told my dad one time, I said, "You'll know if I see one." And I was going to say, because I'll have put a 300 wind mag through its eyeball. And he goes, "Why? Because we'll get there and you crapped in your pants on the deer stand." I'm like,
What do you do?
yeah.
This way or that way?
Really took on that face hard to make sure a mask doesn't come off.
but that's the thing too, because as a little kid, growing up in the woods and whatever, I used to think my imagination's wild. I used to think I saw all kinds of stuff. I used to think I heard all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And so anything from an alien to a bird talking to me to a old Volkswagen drove by one time, I just thought I saw all kinds of stuff. Like it was, and you just had to learn that, that's just the shape shifting. That's the lights and the shadows. And
Shape-shifting.
I grew up,
not exactly. Yeah.
I grew up in northern Florida. I'm out of the woods, and we didn't have
Yeah.
Bigfoot. We had swamp apes.
Yeah.
And I'd be out there, and sometimes I would be at this resort, and we'd be out there at the dark with the security guy, with one of my friends. And we'd be out there looking at things, and we'd see something move across the golf course or something. Go, oh my God, what is that? It looks like a man.
Right.
It's a black bear.
Yeah.
But your imagination plays things on you when you're young.
Well,
in the moonlight.
even like here, and we'll get back to some of the UAP stuff, but even here, we have mountain lions and panthers, and the Arkansas
my property.
Yeah, well, and the Arkansas Game and Fish will tell you that we don't, but they'll also tell you it's $100,000 fine to kill one.
Yeah.
Oh, they're here.
And so my dad and I were a couple of years ago riding side by side down the road at deer camp over around McNabb, Arkansas, and it didn't take it too many leaps. We just saw a giant cat leap into the road and then leap on through. And he goes, "You see that?" I said, "Big giant cat, long tail." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, 100% saw it, but same deal. Now you do get some types of it, but all the authorities will tell you that they're not there, but don't shoot them if you see them.
Oh, yeah, they're there.
And then over here in I used to hunt. I was allowed to hunt a little place over here in Leary, 80 acres, and what I didn't know about large cats was when they're immature still, they have spots. And so I was sitting there, and I told my dad after I got done, I said, "Man, I saw the biggest bobcat I've ever seen."
Yeah.
He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, it had a 3-foot tail. It was about the size of a smaller German Shepherd." He goes, "Yeah, that's not a bobcat."
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, it was spotted." He goes, "That's an adolescent mountain lion or panther or whatever you want to call it."
Yeah.
And of course, I shot a deer that day too, and I was like, well, "I'm glad I didn't know that by the time I drug that deer out 300 yards." But anyway, but all these things, we know those to really be here.
Right.
Yeah, right down outside of DCAP. Mary, I didn't see it, but Mary did. She saw a mountain lion, panther, what you want to call it.
Yeah.
Walk across our driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard them scream out in the woods.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Game cameras out there near Genoa and Manville in that area. They've caught them on game cameras out there.
Right. So we know those are there, yet the authorities still will at least tell you there's not many. In Arkansas, they'll tell you they don't exist. So then when you come to a Bigfoot or an extraterrestrial or whatever, they're like, "Oh, no, those don't exist." Like, well, I know from personal experience of things you'll tell me that aren't there that I 100% have seen myself.
Yeah.
Well, Texas mountain lions, they won't cross state lines. So
That's
we're
right.
good.
Yeah. That's right.
That's
No,
exactly.
anyway, back to aliens.
Yeah.
So
Well, I just wanted to make the point that just because somebody's telling us it's not there
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's not there, because we see stuff all the time that they tell us is not there.
just because some people say they saw it, don't mean they saw it. either.
Yeah, that's
You
true
know?
too.
So that's another thing you got to bring into this with the alien abductions. And I saw this and I saw that.
And what was that article you sent me earlier?
Oh, about NASA's
Yeah.
NASA's chief. Yeah, it said NASA reveals it has captured UFO imagery as space agency chief admits there's life everywhere. NASA's chief administrator confirmed in a bombshell interview that the space agency has taken images of objects which can only be described as UFO. Jared Isaacman,
Yep.
who took over as leader of NASA in December of 2025, said
You know this guy?
Yeah.
real imagery captured from space could not be explained away as a comet or other natural phenomenon.
You agree with
No,
this?
I know. Of it. Well, you know what? Yes and no.
Okay.
Well, can he definitively say it's a UFO or UAP? Yes, because he don't know what the hell it is.
Right. Yeah, because
You know?
unidentified.
You know, that it's unidentified. Weird stuff happens up there, man. I'm telling you. I've told you that they see stuff up there they can't explain. It doesn't look right. Military pilots see that stuff all the time.
Mhm.
Commercial pilots. It's like, no, you can't be going what appears to be going that fast and do a 90-degree turn
Yeah.
and another 90-degree turn. And it just defies the law of physics as we understand it. You know, but
Right.
we're learning so much more about what's possible. And that's what happens every day on this planet. Some smart person somewhere goes, oh, I figured that out. You know, we're looking at the new forms of propulsion, gravity engines, quantum computing. Who the heck knows what somebody else has or doesn't have? But I get back down to where we started. If there are aliens, I believe they're in God's plan. You know, and they're either supernatural beings or I tend to think they're more creative beings too, because nowhere in the Bible does it say God only created man.
Well, he created the angels, so I mean,
He did,
and they're spiritual,
but
supernatural.
he
beings.
did. We don't know everything there is to know about God. And
No, absolutely.
everything. You know, he may.
I think we know very little about anything.
Right. I mean, I can conceive that there's another little ball of dirt out there in the universe, and God says, "I want to create Adam 2." You know,
Yeah.
and or Adam version 2, and do that and see what goes on with them. Are they going to be more faithful than the guys in Earth 1? You know,
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, and that's just all we got to do is rely back on our faith
Mhm.
and say, we believe in God as the only true thing in the universe. Everything else is created. So
yeah, if it's there, it's there.
and he has no limits on creation.
Well, that leads back to Hunter's question earlier. What if something shows up and says, "We don't know anything about it"?
Yeah. And you know, my thing is that how do I say this? How do we assume, I guess, that it's going to be a humanoid figure in the first place? Because if you're talking about alien life, it could be at the cellular level. It could be, you know, bacteria is alien life.
It could,
Yeah.
but we'd have to go find that.
Right.
He can't
And
find us.
I say that because he in that exact same podcast, this NASA administrator, he says, I think there's a very real possibility we're going to arrive at a conclusion in our lifetime that perhaps there's life everywhere out there and that it isn't as infrequent as we might think. He admitted that the space agency was in possession of photos that appear to show unexplainable things near Earth. And he added that he has never seen evidence of crashed UFOs or alien bodies recovered by the U.S. government. However, he notes that NASA may have already found proof in its possession, but the evidence is currently stuck on Mars, roughly 200 million miles away. And he says, we've got samples on Mars right now. If we bring them back, there's a very high probability that they will point to, at some point, microbial life, at least on Mars.
Yeah, and I would think, and I don't know, that any microbial life or anything would, kind of back to Dale's point, would be, yeah, that's just the same creator, same solar system, same universe.
And I don't think it creates the, you know, if you come back and be like, have we found bacteria on Mars? Scientists would be really pumped. But I think the average American would be like,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Just like I don't know how excited we're going to be when we land on the moon again.
But
You know,
that would
I don't
cause
think we're
a
gonna be that excited at all.
theological discussion.
That would be.
Yeah.
If quote unquote biological life as we know it was found on Mars,
Yeah.
I think it would generate
The end of the world as we know it.
oh, I wouldn't go that far. But, you know, you'd have to make sure that, you know, people would start having to take that concept in their religion.
Yeah. that's
Because
true.
right now, we only think of life here
Yeah.
and nowhere else. because that's almost every belief system out there says you're either on earth or you're in heaven or some sort of heaven.
Or hell.
Or hell, yeah. You know, but
I mean, don't leave out the third, Dale.
Yeah, that's true. You know, but it's one of those
Or you
things.
come back as a cow.
So if you get proof of life outside of the humans, the earth ecosystem, let's say, yeah, that's a big deal. You know, and it does raise theological questions and everything else. And then if you discover a bug on Mars, what else is out there?
Well, I think that raises the question, just like discoverers of old when they came wherever in the world. And, hey, there's different people here. There's different plants here. There's different animals here. We've never seen these things. You know, by the time we put a moon base up and then we, you know, have the nuclear reactors up there to garden there, and then we can go on and go,
Right.
you know, I'm not ruling out that, well, hey, there's a Mars plant that we couldn't see, or there's a, you know, I mean, I just don't think, I think it's
Or we
unrealistic.
bring life with us when we go out to this sterile universe.
Yeah. And, you know, I was historically speaking, you know, if a craft came here, it would challenge everything. I mean, you look at like the Aztecs and Cortez, when Cortez lands in Veracruz.
Yeah, he's
Mexico.
a god.
Well, Cortez arrives in Veracruz, Mexico, in the Yucatan in 1519, and the boats get off and they start riding horses. You know, the Aztecs originally thought that horse and man was one animal.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it
Like a centaur.
It challenged everything, and of course they quickly realized they were wrong and that he was a man not out for their best interest. But,
Right.
But you know, I think that it.
Truthfully, I don't know what I'd be more terrified of: finding an alien species that comes here, or we visit them, or just finding cells and bugs and things out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have nightmares of the Andromeda strain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh my God, you know, what we find may not be good for us.
Yeah, I've watched The Thing. I remember The Thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I mean, those are all, I mean, here's the issue. Not that all this wasn't around before.
Yeah.
But after 2020, when all trust in any institution that we have failed,
Yeah.
we don't, and then you get into, then by the time you get into, well, what happened on this election or what happened here, and you know, there's so much doubt entered into, all of a sudden the world opened up to us as, does anything we were taught, do we believe any of it? Was what, you know, like I had the guy on the radio show, and I need to have him back on here, that, you know, spent the last 30 years researching the Kennedy assassination. He's like 100% wasn't one guy, and he can, you know, I've got the book in my
The
house.
charts and everything.
Yeah. And he's like, you know, so all of a sudden you doubt everything. Turns out all the guys that, was it the Watergate Hotel with Nixon, or, because Whitewater was Clinton's, right?
Right.
Yeah, I was going
That's a development in Arkansas.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the Watergate Hotel, 8 of the 9 of them were CIA agents.
Yeah.
And then you start looking like, so now we don't trust anything. So you can't tell me there's not aliens.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, let me go back to Trump's Pursue project. He says only the unexplained stuff. He didn't say, I'm going to release all the explained stuff we know
Right.
that could be aliens.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
And
too.
I think withholding things, I think you should either release it or don't. Because if you halfway do it, as we know, only releasing a little bit or a cherry pick portion of it doesn't build public trust. It builds public distrust, because when they get this and they say, okay, this is crap that we've known about for a while, you're not telling us anything new.
Right.
And the automatic assumption is that you have some stuff that is new and you're choosing not to tell us. And why is that? Why are you choosing not to tell us if there's really nothing to this?
They
but
lied to
now,
us.
but now if they say, well, there's nothing else, we're going to,
Yeah.
I mean, they're listening to our conversations through our TVs and everything else. There's so much information. The flock stuff. I've got Brandon coming on to talk about the flock stuff tomorrow. I mean,
Which, I mean, they're gathering $20 billion images a month. You know, where do they store all those images? In a data center.
oh yeah, Dale's trying to rope us into data center.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know, there's so much out there, and you're right not to trust the government. They lie to us all the time.
But that,
When the Chinese spy satellite came across,
yeah.
I mean, the
The
balloon,
balloon, yeah.
and they go, well, we can't shoot it down because it might hit somebody. I go, it crossed the United States.
across the Western United
Yeah,
States,
I
we
mean-
have nobody.
You could
Right.
shoot
You
that
had a pretty
thing
good shot
down.
on it.
You lied.
Yeah.
You let it go across us. we can see this with our own eyes. These, again, data centers, solar farms that all of a sudden pop up overnight, done deals, NDAs with our local government. They lie to us. You know, they
Which
may
once
not.
again, I'm not necessarily against those. I have
no.
not been. I have not been convinced of the evils of them.
Well, we can have that discussion later. Too.
Yeah, that's next week.
Come to the meeting.
I got a ball to go to.
I know. Realtors and their balls.
I argue about this stuff every day.
The whole idea of the great filter, though, is a little terrifying. The idea that we have all these dreams and aspirations of all these things that we're going to accomplish. We're going to go back to the moon. We're going to build moon bases. We're going to use those to springboard Mars and then beyond, and somehow achieve some type of distant flight of humans well beyond what we've ever done before. But the great filter says that if we are actually on this side of the filter, well, I guess before,
see it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that we're never going to make it that far.
But
And
look
long
at it.
before it happens, we're going to destroy ourselves before we even get to the point.
But look at it in a different way. Maybe we don't destroy ourselves. Maybe other civilizations don't destroy themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe the God that we all believe in, they come and take us up, takes the righteous up to heaven.
Well,
You know, and
if you're going to go that
ends that civilization, right? They don't, you know, they're with God. They don't have to go out there and do spaceships and radio telescopes or anything anymore.
well, so that's my thought on that. Let me get to that. That's
Okay.
my thought there. Well, kind of, it will lead to my abduction theory. But to your point, with the Bible as our rule, we know the civilization has been started over twice for sure.
Yeah.
With the flood
Mhm.
and with the Tower of Babel.
Right.
So I mean, the hard resets on you had whatever technology existed before. It's certainly before the flood,
Well, there's no T-Rex either.
right?
So at least a few times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But yeah, so yeah, and which is why I can't get behind the whole global warming thing, because we've definitely had multiple ice ages, so it's warmed up before. Like we'll survive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had a reset with the flood. We had a reset with the Tower of Babel, which once again, just my redneck ideology is like, wow, that's why we got pyramids everywhere, because we all spoke the same language, knew the same stuff. Then God split us up, and so we go build pyramids. I know that's a stretch to a lot, but I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But when you get to aliens, to my point, where I started this conversation was, I think this is a spiritual battle. Good and evil, great deceiver. If somebody comes down and hits, hey, we've never heard of God. Okay, sure. I think in the Bible it says in the end it will be like the days of Noah, where everyone denies God. So no, I'm not telling you the world's going to end tomorrow, but at some point it will. No matter what you believe, at some point it all ends.
But
However, I think it's a great deception set up for if the world is ruled by the devil, which he is the ruler of the world.
yeah,
And because he offered to give Jesus any kingdom that he wanted. Jesus didn't say, no, you can't do that. He just said, get behind me. Because Jesus' throne is in the spiritual realm in heaven and in the new earth. Then one day when Jesus does collect his church, now I'm not going to get into premillennial, postmillennial, mid, all that stuff, mid-trib and all that. But whenever that happens and Jesus collects his church, kind of like you were saying, it's a real easy thing to be like, we've been telling you for years aliens were coming.
Yeah.
They came and took all these people that were no use to our society, and now we can live. And so I just think, and I know that
I don't think it's going to work that way.
but I just think that's, I know to a lot of people that just sounds nuts.
But you were talking about, God, mankind, angels, and demons. And demons are basically the angels that had fallen.
yeah, for sure.
But don't forget, there are other things out there like the Nephilim.
Yeah. You get into First Enoch,
Yeah, I mean, there's things out
which
there.
that's not canon,
Well,
either his canon or our
yeah,
canon. But
right.
I mean, it's definitely there. And Enoch's definitely mentioned a couple of times in canonized
Yes,
books.
right. And I'm not talking about the Book of Enoch. I'm just talking about, where.
Well, I mean, he First Enoch. Have you read it?
no,
It's
no.
worth the read for
Okay.
sure. I'm just not
It
saying
wasn't
it's
in my Bible.
it's not looked at as scripture, but
Right.
it's worth understanding.
Yeah,
Probably.
I get it. And I do read bits and pieces. I haven't sat down and did a study on it.
Yeah.
But they talk about angels mating with humans and another. There are things out there that could be.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm not going to discount that.
No, I don't.
So
the farther I get into this, the more open into it. I'm like, it's not cut and dry that everything is the one side. Now, to me, it's cut and dry that there's a creator, that Jesus is the way to heaven, but he created everything. So if there's alien, and then our buddy, Tommy, that we went to school with, he's like, well, that's just a big umbrella. I'm like, I know, it is and I understand that. But that's just the lens. That's my Overton window, right? That's where I see it through. Now, to shift the window, I think I have some, but it really takes. I have to really think about it. Like, okay, how wide are we making this window?
Well, just when you think about the umbrella, think about how omnipotent God is.
Yeah,
omniscient. He a bird doesn't fall that he doesn't know about, type of thing.
Yeah,
can he incorporate all that stuff?
Absolutely. Well, because God's not in time; he's outside of time.
That's right.
So it's always right now to him.
Yeah,
that's a wild thought.
Well, it's not so, because there are theories out there that don't really get into spiritual, but they talk about it in a kind of a metaphysical perspective of that. All realities are all layered together, and some people believe that by the power of not just positive thinking, but by thinking hard enough on something, you can shift your own reality to where if you think positive things, good things happen. If you think bad things happen.
Well, just in general, I think that's right.
You're just jumping between realities that way. So I don't know the answer to that, but it's another theory out there, and it goes along with what we're talking about. Sometimes I think about heaven, it's like, okay, we're going to have a one-to-one relationship with our Lord and Savior. I was like, well, are we all going to be in a big room and Jesus is there, or is Jesus going to be beside each and every one of us when we're needing, when we want to talk to him? And, if I'm talking to Jesus here and my mama's over there, she's talking to Jesus, it's still the same Jesus, just in two different instances.
Right now, from my view, if all three of us started praying, we're all talking to him and he's hearing us all. That's already a thing, right? I mean, it's.
And then the same thing, if the lady out in the foyer was praying at the same time, he'd be hearing her too. And he'd be having a different conversation.
It's beyond the physical, which goes back to why we're here, which is, I don't rule out that somebody could show up and there might not be humanoids there. I don't rule out that maybe they don't even need a ship.
Well, they got to be something that has high intelligence.
Sure.
And can manipulate.
Yes.
Those two things are necessary.
And possibly y'all, that was an Overton window shift for me when you pointed out that we're looking backwards in time. Like I never considered that. Right.
Like, I was talking to my daughters. There's an app you can download where you can point your phone to the sky and it'll tell you the different planets are out at night and which stars for which and everything. And there was one that was roughly 36 light years away.
That's a long time.
And I was explaining to them that we were looking at that star, and I said, we could go out on our porch whenever I'm almost 80 years old and you're in your 40s, and we can look up at that star again in the future, and the light that reaches our eyes will be light that was produced when I was big dad and they were little girl standing in the driveway.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. When you look at a night sky, we all, and even I do this, you tend to look at the stars as a flat thing.
Yeah.
There's there's stars, some brighter, some not. But if you think about it, you're looking at it through a variety of time, depending on where those stars are, is the light reaching you is all at different times.
Yeah, that's right.
This light from this star was generated 1 billion years ago. That star was, 500 million years ago. It's just
That's a crazy.
And
It is.
what's
It's
crazy
3D.
is the idea that if we actually achieve the technology to travel at light speed, and I'm sure there's somebody who's smarter than me listening to this, and well, that's not really the right explanation. But if I understand correctly, if there's something that is 2 million light years away, and we are able to, whatever it is, to travel at the speed of light to get there in a matter of minutes or second or whatever, however long it would take, not 2 million light years away, but if in Earth time,
Mhm.
if we travel at the speed of light somewhere and came back home, from the time
Completely
that-
different.
Oh,
yeah, it would be millions of years would have passed here on Earth
Yeah.
in just seconds or minutes it took.
Well,
for us
what
to
was
make
the
that
movie
journey.
with Matthew McConaughey?
Oh, Interstellar.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean that's a very good point. That's
Yeah.
that's the theory,
Yeah.
right? I mean that's where you're at.
Well, I think I guess it is a theory because we haven't traveled.
Right.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but time dilation is a real thing. I mean, it's a real thing, and you can light is a measurable speed,
Well, that's the principle then.
right? Yeah. What the speed of light was calculated back in ancient Greece, I think, is Eratosthenes, or I forgot who's the first
I
person
forgot the
to
one.
calculate the speed of light.
Yeah.
But,
As
but-
Bill and Ted would say, an old dead.
yeah, that's right.
Old dead guy.
But the speed of light is calculable, so we know that that time dilation is a real thing. When you look at the sun, you're not seeing light that's produced in an instant.
Right.
Just like whenever sound reaches your ears from way over there, and it doesn't match up with the movement, we know that light is traveling faster than sound because sound arrives after light.
I shot a deer one time, and it was down. We're hunting this high line, and my dad was sitting, 600 yards away from me, but the deer was much closer to him, and had shot drop compensator,
Yeah.
good rest, and deer walks out. He must be asleep down there. I killed it 10 days before I killed this one right here, actually.
Mm.
And lay my gun on my rest. Wow, let it eat. He calls me. Did you just kill this deer?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah. And he's like, man, I saw it fall out of my scope
Yeah.
before I ever heard it.
Yeah.
Which, I was a good poke over there. I go, oh, it was in your scope? He's like, yeah, I was about to kill it. I'm like, well, I knew it was a good deer.
Snatch that one right away.
All right, well, let's finish this up. Dale, give us your wrap up on aliens, and we'll go Hunter, and then I'll close it out.
I think all we can do is keep an open mind because nobody knows for sure. Well, the regular people don't know for sure.
Yeah.
There may be some government agency buried deep in the ground.
Well, you're our
knows for
government guy right for right now.
All government. Okay. I'm the good part of the government.
You're the man.
But anyway, I think that we
Good
have
part
to
of government. Remember that for the next thing he runs for.
I ain't running for anything else. I think when you think about aliens, you think about UAPs, I think you also have to think about the spiritual world and your God and creation and everything else, because it all goes together. I don't believe you can have one without the other, because we believe that our truth is in the Creator, and the Creator has created everything. And it's one of those things where if it is, it's part of the plan, and we got to figure out how it's part of the plan.
Right.
If we're meant to know that, I don't know if we are. It may be revelation in the future. We may never know as a species until God calls us home. I'm okay with that.
All right.
So I'm good.
All right. Hunter, what you got?
I think that I don't discount the fact that there's possibly stuff elsewhere, and I think that people who have experienced things, regardless of the explanation of that experience, whether it's something mental or actual physical, they believe what
They
they've
believe.
seen.
Yeah,
They believe what
100%
they've
think they believe
seen.
it.
And they believe what they've seen. And I'm sure there's people out there that are charlatans that are out there to make a quick buck or whatever. And
Oh, for
that
sure.
exists. But you can't discount the fact that so many people have experienced the exact same things, which is very interesting. However, as far as achieving interdimensional travel or achieving these far off goals, I believe we have plenty to worry about here
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah,
You know,
I think-
and you know, we only get one shot at this.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that the world, not discounting space travel because I do support it, I love it, but I think that the world needs to put a whole lot of heavy investment on improving
The world.
the world.
Yeah.
You know, and we get one shot at this. And sometimes when I hear, you know, investors and people that, you know, these privatized space companies talk about these big lofty goals about getting out there and discovering life and et cetera, et cetera. I like the idea because historically speaking, like the efforts of NASA, for example, have made the world a better place through invention and technology and everything else. But at the same time, we don't need to do it at the expense of we're going to leave this place behind and somehow
burn this place down and
do something better elsewhere. You know, and regardless of what you feel about life being distant, you know, and life being out there, if it is out there, it's not achievable by us anytime soon. It's not something we can reach and experience anytime soon.
Yeah.
If there is a planet out there that exists like this one does, we'll never get there.
not in our life.
Ever.
Yeah.
And this idea that we have these lofty dreams of, you know, if this experiment fails here on Earth, we're going to find somewhere else.
Mhm.
The interstellar concept of the film,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You know, I think that is dangerous because I think that, you know, like I said, we were given this place to protect and to use and to sustain life and continue life. And I think that going out there, quote unquote, at the expense of what is here, I
Mhm.
think is dangerous. And I hope that we put just as much attention on sustaining this place and sustaining humanity and figuring out our problems here as we do reaching out to the stars.
Well,
like it.
You mentioned something that just triggered something. We should never be going exploring space to go find some other life.
Yeah.
We should be doing that for the betterment of mankind, for making our lives better, to making our planet better, to making our solar system better. You know, not to go out there searching for what may or may not exist, but to do things that are real, that mean something to us.
Yeah.
And that's why I was at NASA,
Mhm.
not because I'm looking for spaceships and aliens.
Yeah.
It's because
So you say.
I want.
Now, if we come across it in the meantime, I'm all about it.
We
you know.
trip over an alien species. Okay, we'll deal with that. But you know, it's for the benefit of all mankind.
Yeah.
That is why we should be out in space and make those discoveries that we need. And I think that we need to be worthy of it when we do it.
Yeah.
So that's it.
All right, here's my wrap up on it. I agree with both of what you said. With the Bible as my guide, I believe we were created in the image of God. We're supposed to be inquisitive. We're supposed to want to know. We're supposed to take care of this earth. It's not wrong for us to look to the stars and dream. He made us creative.
Right.
He look at what we've taken from the natural resources provided to us and what we've done, right? And however, whether it's been 1 billion years or 10,000 years or 100,000 years or 250, however long it's been, in whatever amount of time it's been, it's still amazing what we've done from going and slapping rocks together and hoping to make a spark, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and so it's okay to ask these questions. It's okay to wonder. It's okay to dream. It's okay to be on the lookout. However, and y'all know me, I'm going to bring it back to Jesus. He's got to be the focal point. And when you start searching for something more than you're searching for him, it becomes an idol, whether that be the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl or your next cheeseburger, or whether it be your wife, or whether it be little Johnny's softball team, or whether it be aliens coming in. That's your focal point of all that you focus on. You're automatically in the wrong. I've been in the wrong on that a whole lot of times. I've chased a whole lot of things to an unhealthy level that I shouldn't have instead of Jesus. So as long as, you know, in my mind, as long as he's there, go look for it. Go see it.
And just real quick on
go ahead.
what you said, you know, about the importance of space travel. I think in this point in time, you know, when Artemis 2 launched, I was glued to that thing.
Oh,
that was cool.
Constantly. And I think in fashion like the Apollo missions provided, I think that these upcoming Artemis missions I urge everybody to pay attention to that, because it is an opportunity for the country to unite around something. And it's so difficult now for us to find any kind of common ground on pride of anything. The majority of people, there's a lot of people crazy out there that'll hate everything no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think that these upcoming missions, I think it serves not just as a catalyst for exploration, but it also serves as a catalyst for unification, for the country actually coming together to look at something and go, wow, we did that.
To your point, we had a pretty good run here lately. We had the Artemis mission.
Yeah.
Then we had
Data centers.
Yeah, data centers. And then we had, FIFA roll in. Then we had the 250 celebration.
I actually watched a soccer game from start to finish.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soccer. But I watched it because I was rooting on America.
I was texting.
You only watch Belgium, and he only watched that one. That was the best.
I was texting our buddy, guy we grew up with, Brian Carroll. I'm like, why are we offsides on this?
Yeah.
What's
up with that goalie, man?
Yeah. Well, why is this guy tripping?
But I'm behind anything that brings the country together. I'm for it.
Okay.
And if it's a lot of money, okay. But if it means sustaining some type of unified feeling in the country, I'm all for it, because there's very little of that.
Well, and like I said, the Artemis, then we have soccer, and then we had the 250, and then we had people from around the world here, and it really felt like it did kind of when we grew up.
Yeah.
Remember?
It felt like America for a change.
And that goes to show you, when the Europeans arrived here and people from all over, from Southeast Asia and Far East and everything, and they came here and they loved it here, and we loved having them here, and there was such camaraderie. It really breaks down the real fact of why we dislike each other. It's not even for any real reason. It's just because someone who can make a buck off the division tells you should hate Europeans, or if you're European, you should hate America.
Yeah.
But when you get down to it and you sit at a table with somebody, or you share barbecue with them, or you're at a sporting event with them, you realize that, that is bunk. It's ridiculous, and it's all artificially made up to keep us hating each other.
That's right.
Because someone can make money off of that.
That's right. All right, we're going to leave on that. All right, everybody. I hope God blesses each and every one of you today.